Princess Soralia sat quietly by the tall window in her room. Outside, the silver light of Valastra's twin moons touched the smooth walls of the royal palace. The palace was beautiful, made of shining crystals that reflected light in soft colors. But inside, Soralia felt cold and alone. She looked down at her hands. They were delicate and pale, like the hands of a doll. Many people said she was beautiful, with her long silver hair and bright green eyes, but Soralia did not believe it. To her, beauty did not matter. What mattered was what was inside a person, and she felt empty. All her life Soralia had lived. Inside this palace, the Ilari people, her people, were proud and strong, but they did not show feelings like love or happiness. They thought emotions made a person weak. So no one ever told Soralia she was loved. No one ever told her she was. Special her parents, the king and queen, were kind but distant. They cared for the kingdom and the rules. Soralia was their daughter and the future queen, but she was only a shadow in their eyes, a shadow that must follow the strict laws of the Ilari. Today, like many days before, Soralia felt alone, walked through the long halls of the palace. The walls were smooth and white, decorated with paintings of great warriors and queens from long ago. Servants passed by silently, bowing their heads, but never stopping to speak to her. She came to the royal garden, a rare place filled with strange plants and soft blue flowers. The garden was one of the few places where Soralia felt peace. She sat on a stone bench and watched the stars. Suddenly, she heard a soft voice nearby. "Excuse me, can you tell me what this plant is?" the voice asked. Sorel turned and saw a man standing there. He was not like the Ilari. His skin was warm brown, his hair dark and curly, and his eyes bright with curiosity. Wore a uniform with the symbol of the human starship Solstice Wind. "Are you from Earth?" Soralia asked quietly. "Yes," the man smiled. "I'm Lieutenant Ryan Cole. I came with a diplomatic mission. I want to learn about your world." Soralia was surprised. No one had ever come close to her like this. Most people in Valastra kept their distance. But Ryan looked friendly and kind. She nodded slowly. "I am Soralia, Princess of Valastra." Ryan bowed slightly. "It is an honor to meet you, Princess." For a moment, they both looked at the blue flowers between them. The garden smelled fresh and sweet. Ryan smiled again. "I've never seen plants like these on Earth. Everything here is so different and beautiful." Soralia felt a small warmth inside. "Yes, our world is different. But some things are the same. Like the stars." Spoke quietly, sharing small stories. Ryan told Soralia about Earth, its oceans, its forests, and its people. He spoke with excitement, and Soralia listened carefully, feeling curious. She noticed how Ryan smiled when he talked, how his eyes showed kindness and hope. It was strange for her to feel this way. She had never known anyone like him. Before he left, Ryan looked at Soralia and said softly, "You are beautiful, Princess." Soralia's heart stopped. She looked away, feeling a strange feeling she could not name. No one had ever said that to her before. "Not like that." Ryan gave a small bow and walked away, leaving Soralia alone in the quiet garden. She sat there long after he left, thinking about his words. For the first time in her life, Soralia wondered if maybe, just maybe, she was not so unlovable after all. The next morning, sunlight poured softly through the palace windows. Princess Soralia woke early, but felt restless. The memory of Ryan's words, "You are beautiful," echoed in her mind like a gentle song she could not forget. She dressed quietly and slipped out of her room. The palace was still calm, the halls empty, except for a few early servants. Soralia moved carefully, her heart beating faster than usual. She felt a strange excitement, but also fear. What if someone saw her? What if she was not supposed to leave her chambers alone? But something inside her whispered, "Go, find him." She made her way to the royal garden. The soft wind moved the blue flowers, and birds sang in the tall trees. The garden was peaceful, a quiet world away from the cold palace. Sarah found Ryan. Again, near the same strange plant he had asked about the day before. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. "Princess," he said with a friendly bow. I hope I'm not disturbing you. No, she replied softly. I wanted to see the garden again. It is beautiful here. Ryan nodded. I want to learn more about your world. Can you tell me about this plant? Soralia studied the plant carefully. Its thin leaves shone in the sunlight. Tiny white flowers grew at the top. This is called Valara's bloom, she explained. It is special. To Valastra, it only grows here, near the palace. The flowers bloom under the twin moons. Ryan leaned closer to look. It is amazing. On Earth, we have many plants, but none like this. They talked about plants, stars, and Earth's oceans. The conversation was easy, and Soralia found herself smiling. Ryan said, You seem very different from what I expected. Different? Soralia asked. Yes, Ryan said. Your people are known to be serious and proud, but you seem kind and curious, not like the stories I heard. Soralia looked down, feeling shy. People expect me to be cold and strong, but sometimes I feel lonely. I do not belong. Ryan looked at her with understanding. I understand. On Earth, people feel lonely too. But it is important to find those who see us for who we really are. Soralia's heart felt warm. For the first time, she believed someone could see her. They walked slowly through the garden, sharing stories and dreams. Ryan spoke of Earth's cities filled with lights and laughter. Soralia told him about her favorite place in the palace, the old library filled with books from many worlds. As the sun rose higher, Soralia noticed her hands trembling slightly. She did not want this moment to end. Ryan paused and looked at her. Soralia, you are not just a princess. You are a person with thoughts and feelings, and to me, you are beautiful. Soralia's eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of hope. She wanted to say something, but her voice caught in her throat. Ryan smiled gently. You do not have to answer now, but remember, you deserve kindness. The palace bells rang, reminding them that the day had begun. Soralia knew she had to return inside. The cold rules of the palace awaited her. She watched Ryan leave, feeling a strange new feeling inside her chest, something she had never known before. That night, Soralia sat by her window again. Stars shone bright, but her thoughts were on Ryan's words, beautiful. She whispered the word softly, letting it sink deep inside her. For the first time, she dared to believe it. Days passed quietly in the crystal palace of Valastra, but inside Princess Soralia, something had begun to change. Ryan's words, you are beautiful, played in her mind like a gentle melody. She found herself thinking about him often, about the way he smiled and how his eyes showed warmth and kindness. But Soralia knew she was different from Ryan. She was an Alari princess, raised to follow rules and hide her feelings. Her people believed that emotions were a sign of weakness. To show kindness or love openly was unusual. That is why Soralia had spent her life behind the palace walls, feeling invisible and lonely still. Ryan's words had opened a small door. Inside her, a door she never knew existed. One quiet afternoon, Soralia sat in the palace library, a place she loved more than anywhere else. The library was filled with ancient books and scrolls from many worlds. Here she could escape the cold expectations of the court. She reached for a book about human culture. The pages described how humans valued feelings, love, courage, hope, and kindness. They spoke of stories where people showed great bravery by trusting their hearts. Soralia, read carefully. She felt a stirring inside her, a new understanding. Maybe feelings were not weakness. Maybe they were strength. That evening, she went to the royal garden again. The soft moonlight painted the blue flowers silver. As she walked quietly, she found Ryan waiting near the same spot as before. Princess, Ryan said softly, I hoped to see you again. Soralia smiled. I have been reading about your people. Your world is very different. Ryan nodded. Yes, but I believe we share more than you think. Humans and Iladi both want to be understood, to be loved. Their conversation flowed easily. Soralia felt free to speak, to ask questions. Ryan told her about Earth, about music that made people feel joy, about festivals where strangers became friends. Soralia laughed softly at the thought. She had never laughed so much in the palace. Ryan looked at her with a gentle smile. You are not like your people expect. You have a kind heart. Sorelia looked down, feeling shy. I have hidden it for a long time. Ryan reached out lightly. Touching her hand, it is okay to feel, Sorelia. You deserve to be happy. For a moment, they stayed like that, hand in hand, the cool night air around them. But deep inside, Sorelia fear grew. The Alari High Council watched closely, did not approve of her spending time with a human, especially not a low-ranking officer. She knew her duty was to her people, to the throne. Yet her heart told her to follow a different path. The next day, Sorelia received a message from the High Council. A political marriage was arranged for her, an alliance with a noble alien family from a nearby planet. The news hit her like a cold wind. She sat alone in her room, feeling trapped between tradition and the strange new feelings Ryan had awakened in her. Ryan came to visit again. This time Sorelia was distant. She did not want to speak of the arranged marriage. She feared losing the small happiness she had found. Ryan saw the sadness in her eyes. Sorelia, I have to leave soon. My mission here ends. Sorelia nodded, trying to hold back tears. Wish things were different. Before Ryan left, he gave her a small gift, a book of poems from Earth. Read this when you feel lost, he said. Remember, you deserve someone who sees you for who you really are. Ryan kissed her hand softly and left the palace. Sorelia held the book close, feeling both hope and sorrow. That night she opened the book and read the words aloud. The poems spoke of love, courage, and hope, things she longed to feel but never dared. She closed the book and whispered to herself, maybe I can choose my own path. For the first time, Princess Sorelia believed in the power of feelings and the courage to follow her heart. The grand halls of the Velastra Palace were filled with a quiet tension. The Alari High Council had gathered in the great chamber to discuss the future of Princess Sorelia. The glowing crystal walls reflected the serious faces of the elders. They spoke in low, firm voices about the importance of tradition and duty. Sorelia sat silently in her chambers, feeling the weight of their decisions pressing down on her like heavy stones. She had known this day would come. Council had arranged a political marriage for her, an alliance with Lord Carol, a noble from the nearby planet of Zephyron. This union was meant to strengthen ties between their planets and secure peace for many years. Sorelia did not know Lord Carol. She had seen only his official portraits, a strong man with sharp eyes and a proud stance. But she felt no excitement, no hope. To her, it was just another step in a path she did not choose. Her thoughts often returned to Ryan Cole, the human lieutenant who had shown her kindness and spoken words she never forgot. You are beautiful, he had said. More than that, he had made her feel seen, not as a princess, but as a person. But the council did not care for feelings. They valued power, control, and order. To them, Sorelia's duty was clear. Days passed, and preparations for the bonding ceremony with Lord Carol began. Sorelia tried to hide her growing sadness behind a calm mask. She met with advisors, practiced formal greetings, and attended ceremonies that felt empty. One afternoon, as she walked through the palace garden, a quiet voice called her name, Princess Sorelia. She turned to see her closest friend and lady-in-waiting, Lyra. Lyra was gentle and wise, and she had watched Sorelia's silent struggles. Do you want to talk? Lyra asked softly. Sorelia shook her head. There is nothing to say. My future is decided. Lyra reached out and took her hand. You are more than what others decide for you. Remember that. Sorelia felt tears well up, but quickly blinked them away. That evening, Sorelia sat alone in her chamber, holding the book of Earth poems Ryan had given her. She opened it to a page she had marked and read aloud. Love is a light that guides the way, even when shadows try to stay. The words gave her strength. She wanted to believe she could find her own light. Suddenly, a message arrived from the human embassy. Ryan had sent a letter. Sorelia, I wish I could stay longer. Deserve happiness. Be brave. Her heart ached with both hope and pain. as the day of the ceremony approached. Soralia felt trapped between two worlds, the cold rules of her people and the warm feelings Ryan had awakened. On the morning of the bonding ceremony, she stood in front of the mirror, dressed in a shimmering silver gown. Her reflection showed a beautiful princess, but inside, she felt uncertain. Just before the ceremony began, she made a decision. She would not speak yet, but she would find a way to change her future. Soralia stepped into the grand hall where the council and noble guests waited. Lord Carroll stood proudly at the other end of the room as the ceremony began. Soralia's eyes searched the crowd, hoping to find a sign of a new path. She remembered Ryan's words, "You deserve someone who sees you," and in her heart, a quiet voice whispered, "I will find that someone." The great hall was filled with light from the crystal chandeliers. Nobles and dignitaries from Valastra and Zephron sat in rows, waiting for the bonding ceremony to begin. The air was heavy with expectation and ancient tradition. Soralia, dressed in her shimmering silver gown, walked slowly toward Lord Carroll. Her heart beat fast, but her mind was calm with a new resolve. She had made a choice, though it was not yet time to speak it aloud. As she passed through the crowd, she caught sight of Lyra, her closest friend. Lyra's eyes held a silent message, "Be strong." Soralia reached the center of the hall. The High Council members sat behind the throne, their faces serious but watchful. The ceremony began with a chant that filled the room with deep melodic sound. The nobles joined in, their voices echoing off the walls. When the chant ended, Soralia stepped forward. "Princess Soralia," the High Elder said, "will you accept this union to bring peace and strength to Valastra?" Soralia's throat was dry. She looked at Lord Carroll, who waited with a proud smile. Then she looked beyond the crowd, imagining Ryan, the human who had opened her eyes to a different world. With a steady voice, she spoke, "I cannot accept this bond." Gasps filled the room. The nobles whispered in shock. Lord Carroll's face darkened with anger. The High Elder's voice was cold. "Princess, your duty is to your people. To refuse this bond is to reject Valastra's future." Soralia stood tall. "My duty is to my people, yes. But it is also to be true to myself. I will not marry for power or politics. I must follow my heart." A silence fell. The High Council looked at each other, unsure how to respond. Suddenly, guards entered the hall and moved towards Soralia. She raised her hands calmly, ready to face whatever would come. But before they could take her away, a young council member spoke. "We should hear the princess's words." The room quieted again. Soralia took a breath and spoke with passion. "I have lived behind these walls, feeling unseen and unloved. But I have learned that feelings are not weakness, they are strength. If Valastra is to grow, we must change. We must choose love and kindness, not only power." Nobles nodded slowly. Others frowned. The eldest counselor said sternly, "Princess, your words are bold. But change comes slowly. You must learn patience." Soralia nodded. "I understand. But I also believe every voice matters, especially the voice of the future." After long moments, the council whispered among themselves. Finally, the High Elder spoke. "We will delay the bonding ceremony. Princess Soralia will be given time to decide her path." The crowd murmured with surprise and relief. Soralia felt a rush of hope. It was a small victory, but it was hers. Later in her chambers, she opened the book of poems Ryan had given her. She read once more the lines that gave her courage. "Love is a light that guides the way, even when shadows try to stay." She smiled softly. Her heart was still full of questions, but now it was free to seek answers. The next day, Soralia walked through the palace gardens, thinking deeply. Suddenly, she saw a small group of young nobles watching her. They whispered and smiled. One stepped forward. "Princess, your words yesterday were brave. We hope to see a new Valastra, one filled with hope." Soralia nodded. "Thank you. Want to build that future together." In that moment, she realized she was not alone. There were others who wished for change. Her journey was just beginning. The palace was quieter than usual, as Princess Cerelia prepared to face the High Council once more. The days since her refusal to accept the arranged marriage had been filled with tension and uncertainty. The elders debated late into the night, and whispers spread among the nobles. Some saw her courage as a threat to tradition, while others felt hope for a brighter future. Cerelia knew she had to speak again. This time, not as a princess following orders, but as a young woman ready to change her world. When the council chamber doors opened, all eyes turned toward her. She walked in with calm determination, her silver gown shining softly in the crystal light. The High Elder looked at her with a mixture of surprise and challenge. "Princess Cerelia, you have spoken boldly. What do you ask of the council today?" Cerelia took a deep breath. "I do not ask permission to follow my heart. I claim the right to choose my own path for myself and for Velastra." She paused, then continued. "Our people have long valued strength and control, but I believe true strength lies in kindness, in understanding, and in the courage to feel. We cannot grow if we hide our hearts." A murmur spread through the chamber. Some council members whispered among themselves. Others listened quietly. Cerelia's voice grew stronger. "If Velastra is to survive in this galaxy, we must embrace change. We must open ourselves to new ideas, new friends, and new ways of living. I ask the council to allow me to decide my future, not just for myself, but as a symbol for all who wish to see a better Velastra." The eldest counselor rose slowly. "Princess, your words challenge centuries of tradition. Change is not easy. It can bring chaos." Cerelia nodded respectfully. "I understand, Elder, but I believe that without change there is only stagnation. I am ready to face the challenges, if it means a future where we are free to choose love and happiness." For a long moment, the chamber was silent. Then the youngest council member stood. "I support Princess Cerelia. Her courage inspires me. Perhaps it is time for Velastra to open its eyes." Others began to nod, and slowly a quiet chorus of agreement filled the room. The High Elder sighed deeply. "Very well, we shall delay any decisions regarding the princess's future until we see how her vision unfolds." The council meeting ended with mixed feelings, hope for some, worry for others. As Cerelia left the chamber, she felt a new strength inside her. The path ahead was not clear, but she was no longer alone. Later in the garden, she found Lyra waiting. "You were brave today," Lyra said with a smile. The council listened. Cerelia smiled back. "It is only the beginning. Keep fighting for myself and for all who dream of a better Velastra." That night, Cerelia sat by the window, looking at the stars. The book of Earth poems lay open on her lap. She read once more. "Hope is the seed from which courage grows, and love the light that makes it bloom." Far away in the human embassy, Ryan read her letter again. He smiled, proud of the princess who had dared to be herself. Cerelia's heart was no longer empty. It was full of hope, courage, and a new kind of love, one that would change her world forever.